Hey, everybody. It just felt great to be back out there again. I think I probably speak for everybody within the program and just good to be out there competing against another team. Very thankful to be able to get to that point. I know Tony touched on that as well, but that's kind of where everybody is. It's just you see other teams and other programs kind of shutting down and or not being able to move forward. So when you get the opportunity to play, you cherish it, and it certainly felt good to be back out there.
Alec, you had a question?
Hi, Kelly. What do you suppose a road trip in this kind of season will be like? Is there a lot of drastic changes, do you think, going into this weekend?
Yeah, it's our director of ops, Jess Williams, has been pretty busy. I think ops all over the all over the country have really been earning their money throughout this, and one of it is that you're testing each morning on the road, so got to get up and locate a place to go and get tested at the visiting place. A lot of our players will be rooming individually, so that'll be a little bit different. Meals, it's not, those are usually a really good time of socializing and getting together as a group and having a good time. And, some of those meals you can kind of linger, but that's certainly not going to be the case here either. So there's a little bit of a new normal, I guess, of just trying to, maybe staying in the room a little bit more and a little bit less socializing, and, but, we ought to be used to that by now.
We have a question from Dennis.
Yeah, Kelly, you at long last got a chance to see your team up against a different team and a little chance to look at what happened. What did you learn about your team in those two matches?
I thought we played awfully well. I thought Friday night we played pretty well and really limited our errors. Saturday we were playing against a team that was serving at a higher level and they defending a lot better in the backcourt. I thought they really picked up their game from night one to night two, and I thought we responded. We had a really nice comeback in the second set. It's a really good serving team. I think they had 3 of the top 10 aces per game in the conference last year. And, and I thought we passed pretty well. It's matter of fact, one of the coaches said we left the weekend passing better than anybody else in the league. And so if we're going to be passing at a pretty high level, I think we're going to be kind of tough to stop at times. I thought our out of system attacking was really, really good, real strong. I thought, in one and two option passes, we hit almost 400 or way over 300 on that. Transition game was pretty high, over 500 hitting in transition, and those were two major emphasis during the fall, is to try to get better in both of those areas. Out of system defense, we got to get better. I'm not sure we were as good as what we need to be in that area, so that'll definitely be a point of emphasis this week. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on film. It's been fun breaking it down.
Zach.
Hey, Kelly. Obviously you brought in Devin for a reason, but what did you see from her after her first action as a Badger?
I'm sorry, from Devin?
Yeah, from Devin.
Yeah, it's she had a nice debut. What I saw from Devin is that she didn't play with any fear whatsoever. She was in control. She played smart, played aggressive, had a good presence about her. When it was there, she was taking really big swings she was just putting the ball in good areas of the court and kind of living to see another day, which sometimes takes a little bit of maturity to be able to do that. Blocking, she got some nice stuff blocks, but then there were some times that, her hands weren't in real good position. So it's kind of a work in progress over there on the right side for her. And, but it was certainly really nice to build on and it's you probably don't expect out of the first weekend of a freshman to be leading the league in hitting percentage. But it was Sydney put her in some really good positions, and she got up there and finished.
Question from Steve.
Thank you for doing this. I appreciate the time. I was just wondering what Shaw's policy has been regarding and what feedback you've gotten from players regarding the use of masks, and if anything might change in regard to what's coming out of Michigan with the variant in that regard.
Well, it's pretty odd. The Friday, I was saying something to a couple of people on staff that it was the first time that I'd seen some of our players without a mask on in a long, long time. It was, some of them, they looked a little bit different than what I remember them looking like. I mean, we train every single day with masks. So I don't know, we obviously didn't play with them. The people that were on the court on Friday and Saturday, everybody that was on the bench was wearing it. When you come out, you put them on, and we want the players and staff to wear them properly, and not just this kind of, fake kind of wearing them like a football chin guard or something, or, something where their nose is coming out of hibernation. Let's wear it the right way and try to stay safe and be good examples. And I think our kids have done that. But I don't know, but we're listening to our medical people. So if they tell us we've got to do things differently, then we'll do it and won't make too much of a fuss about it.
Just to clarify, they're wearing the mask throughout practice and during the matches, as long as they're not actually on the floor playing. Is that correct?
They're wearing them in practice, no matter if they're on the court or not on the court. Every moment of practice, they're wearing it. During weight training, they're wearing them. During matches, they're wearing them if they are coming off the court and on the bench. But while they are on the floor, they are not wearing them.
One last follow-up question from anyone?
Can I get one more in real quick?
Sure, Alec.
Kelly, Big Ten play, always tough. Illinois, they were kind of tough last year. What's an early scouting report on the Illini this weekend?
Just starting to get into them. It's been in the last 2 days on us. It's they've got quite a few new pieces. They left last weekend. I mean, my goodness, the amount of service aces they had in the first weekend. There's times it takes us 4 or 5 weeks to get that many aces, and the number of blocks they got this past weekend. It's we may need to spend the entire week on covering, and both those aspects. Those are really fast points, and so. That'll be something that we'll have to spend some time on. They're running a 6-2 offense and getting a lot of different people involved. They've got a really nice mix of experience and new players. And they can move people. They've got some flexibility with the pieces that they can move in and out, which I think is a real advantage for teams that are able to do that this year. And they certainly have a lot of interchangeable parts that may make it a little bit more difficult to prepare for. But they had a great weekend.